Hello, my friends. I am here with you, Dana Thompson. Welcome back to Mentoring Mondays. I am your educator, your leader, coach, and founder of Elevated Institute. I'm your friend here with you this evening, sharing a little bit of information that's really close to my heart. So grab whatever you have to snack on or something to drink while you're listening and settle in and let's spend a few minutes growing together. Today's conversation is for every educator who has ever thought, I'm really not a leader. Maybe you don't have an administrative title, or maybe you're not the department chair or an instructional coach or an assistant principal or a principal or anything like that. Maybe no one has officially asked you to lead anything, but here is what I want you to know. You do not need a title to lead. Leadership is not limited to a position. It is reflected in how you influence people, how you respond to challenges, how you support others, and how you contribute to the culture around you. And whether you realize it or not, someone is paying attention to the way you lead. They've already been paying attention. They've already seen you. They've already heard you. So let's begin here. Let's have an honest conversation. When you hear the word leader, who do you picture? Do you immediately think of the principal or assistant principal or a district administrator or a coach of some sort? Someone standing at the front of the room with a title beside their name, maybe? Well, that's understandable because we often connect leadership with formal authority. But some of the strongest leaders in a school building may never sit in an administrative office. They are the people others turn to when they need guidance. They are the ones who help calm a tense situation. They share resources. They welcome new team members. They ask thoughtful questions. They bring solutions instead of simply repeating problems or being the problem. They help people feel seen. That is leadership. A title may give someone authority, but a title does not automatically give someone influence. And influence is where leadership truly begins. Because I remember something that my father has told me over the course of my lifetime. And he says to me that people don't care how much you know until they can see or know how much you care. So let's talk about what real leadership is. And I want to remind the educators out there that's what they're already doing. So, one of the myths that I found within education is that leadership begins when someone gives you a title, and it really doesn't. A title may recognize leadership, a title may expand your responsibilities, a title may give you access to different decisions, but leadership begins long before any of those things happen. Leadership begins when you recognize that your words, your attitude, your preparation, and your presence affect other people. Every educator carries influence. The question is not whether you have the influence, the question is how you are using it. Are people more encouraged after speaking with you, or do you help your team move towards solutions? Do you speak about students in ways that protect their dignity and not yell across the hall or down the hall about them? Do you model professionalism even when the environment feels frustrating? Because we all get frustrated, but it's how you show your emotions during those times of frustration that really models that professionalism. Do you help strengthen the room or do you add tension to it? These are those leadership questions that we have to really think about, and they matter regardless of your job title, regardless of what that job title says. It matters. So as I was thinking about this, I wrote something down that I want to share with you all today, and that is you don't have to be the loudest person in the room to be a powerful leader. That truth is very personal for me because I am naturally non-confrontational when I'm talking with someone, a colleague, or a teacher, maybe one of the teachers that was in my building before. I don't get loud. But I had to really learn that it wasn't about the volume of my voice. Early in my leadership, I sometimes struggled to find my voice because I believe leadership required a personality that really was more forceful than mine. It had to do with my personality type. And I thought I had to choose between being kind and being direct. But over time, I learned that those two qualities are not opposites. I could be clear and compassionate. I could address a difficult situation without attacking a person. I could hold someone accountable while still honoring their dignity. I could be direct and still lead with sincere empathy. That lesson changed the way I view leadership. Leadership is not about becoming the loudest person in the room. It is not about controlling every conversation. And it is not about proving that you are in charge. Strong leadership often looks steady. It listens carefully, it communicates clearly, it tells the truth, which is so very important. It serves all people and it helps move others forward. It helps others move forward and it helps the objective, the goal to be reached in a situation. So there are four ways educators lead every single day. First, you lead through your example. People notice how you prepare. They notice how you treat students and their parents. They notice how you respond when plans change because let's be real, in the world of education, things change very often. They notice whether you remain professional when you are frustrated because those changes can bring about frustration, but how are you going to respond? Your example teaches before you ever say a word. Secondly, you lead through your words. Words can shift the atmosphere of a team totally. I've seen it happen time and time again in various meetings that I've been a part of. A thoughtful word can encourage a discouraged colleague. A careless word, though, can deepen the frustration. A solution focused question can move a conversation forward. A negative comment can stop progress altogether before it even begins. For my third point here, I want you to know that you lead through your responses. Anyone can appear calm when everything is going well. Leadership becomes visible when something goes wrong. So, how do you respond to conflict? How do you respond to feedback? How do you respond when a student challenges you? How do you respond when you disagree with a decision? Your body language and your words, it communicates all of this. Your response communicates your leadership. And lastly, you lead through support. Sometimes leadership looks like sharing a resource. Sometimes it means checking on a new teacher or it means helping a colleague think through a difficult situation. Sometimes it's simply it's simply saying to another person, well, you don't have to figure this out by yourself. I'm here to help you. I'm here to walk alongside you. Those everyday choices help shape school culture. Leading without formal authority, it requires a lot of wisdom, a lot of balance, a lot of integrity. You may have influence, but you may not have the authority to make every decision. That means you must learn to lead without controlling because it's not about that. You're offering the ideas, you're modeling that excellence that we require of our students. Show that to them. You ask those thoughtful questions. Help people to see those possibilities. But you don't have to force people to follow you. You can also support without rescuing. I know that as an instructional coach or as a building administrator, oftentimes we want to go and we want to rescue them. This is especially important also for those grade level chairs or those mentor teachers. Supporting people does not mean completing all of their responsibilities for them. It does mean, however, or I should say it this way, it doesn't mean that you have to absorb every problem that they bring to you. It does not mean becoming the team's emotional dumping ground. Healthy leadership helps others develop their own capacity. You can speak clearly without being harsh. You can say, this needs to be completed by Friday, or you can say, well, we agreed to follow this process and just remind them of it. You can also say, you know what, I understand your concern, but we still need to address this issue. Clarity is not cruelty. Directness is not disrespect. And finally, you can serve without carrying all the things. You can do that. Servant leadership does not mean self erasure. It does not require you to exhaust yourself to prove that you care. Healthy leaders serve with wisdom, with boundaries, and with purpose. And we need to make sure that our teachers, our leaders in the building, that they are healthy and that they are serving and that they are leading with wisdom, boundaries, and purpose. So let's talk about what healthy teacher leadership really looks like. Um, we need to have a practical point of view when it comes to this. So healthy teacher leaders, they build trust. They do what they say they will do and in the time that they will do it. And if they can't seem to complete the task, during the time that they said, it is nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I'm going to need more time. And this is one thing too. When I'm the type of person that when someone asks me a question, if I don't know the answer, I'm going to straight up tell you that I don't know the answer. But I will do my very best to find that answer for you and come back to you when I said that I would. Teacher leadership, healthy teacher leadership, is when they're communicating consistently and avoiding using information as power. They protect confidentiality. If a colleague shares a concern privately, healthy leaders do not turn that concern into staff room conversation. They encourage solutions. That does not mean ignoring legitimate problems, though. It means asking, hey, what can we do next? Or what part of this can we influence? What support do we need to give? Healthy teacher leaders also address concerns directly. They don't build coalitions of frustration behind someone's back. They have the courageous conversation with the appropriate person. They share the credit and they don't need to be seen as the person who had every single idea or solved every single problem. They celebrate the work of their other team members and they keep students at the center of all that they do. And when personalities, preferences, or disagreements begin to take over, healthy leaders bring the conversation back to the students. They ask questions like, what do students need? What supports learning? What strengthens the classroom experience? That focus helps teams move beyond personal tension and toward shared purpose. So here's your mentor's challenge for this week from me. Um, Use your influence intentionally as you're preparing to go back into the building, even for those pre service meetings, those professional development classes. How can you influence those around you intentionally? Don't wait for a title. Don't wait for someone to give you permission. Choose one small act of leadership and encourage one colleague who may be struggling. Share one resource, perhaps, that could make someone's work easier. You could address one concern directly instead of allowing frustration to grow and grow. Bringing that one possible solution to your next team conversation can make the difference. Recognize someone else's contribution. Leadership is often built through small, very small, but consistent actions. You may not see the full impact immediately, but culture is shaped one interaction at a time. So this week, ask yourself, what kind of influence am I bringing into the spaces I enter? And what is one way I can use that influence to make that space healthier? You're already leading every day through your daily impact. Every time you model positive behavior or supporting a student or supporting one of your colleagues, you're making a daily impact. You're building relationships and you're influencing others, letting them know that not only does your voice matter, but their voice matters as well. So, as we close, I want you to remember this: keep leading. Don't wait until someone gives you a title to become the kind of leader your school needs, but go ahead and do that thing. Lead with clarity, lead with compassion, lead from where you are in this very moment. And I want to thank you so very much for joining me for this episode of Mentoring Monday. If this conversation encouraged you, share with the educator friend or someone who you know that has an educator friend who can just pass this along. Maybe they need a reminder that their influence matters. Maybe they need a reminder of how they should interact with others. And until next Monday, keep cultivating healthy school cultures, one relationship at a time. See you next Monday. Have a fantastic week.